Brer Rabbit was known throughout the Briar Patch for his blinding speed, and the pride that swelled within his little chest because of it. No one, not even Brer Fox when he put his mind to it, could catch Brer Rabbit. Once he set those long back legs pumping, he'd zip past the old oak, streak across the meadow, and vanish down the dusty lanes before anyone could even shout go. This swiftness wasn't just a talent. It was his entire identity, the thing he bragged about from sunrise to sunset. He'd chuckle at Brer Turtle's deliberate plodding, mock Brer Possum's sleepy shuffle, and even tease the birds about how much faster his feet were than their wings. His confidence was a towering thing, as tall and seemingly unshakable as the pine trees that whispered secrets to the wind high above the thicket. One bright morning, the air buzzing with cicadas and thick with the scent of honeysuckle, Brer Rabbit's boasting finally wore too thin on Brer Turtle's patience. Sitting by the cool mud of the creek, blinking his wise old eyes slowly, Brer Turtle spoke in his deep, unhurried rumble. Brer Rabbit, he said, the words measured like drops of water, all that speed ain't much good if you don't know where you're running to, or what you're running past. True winning ain't always about being first across a line. Somebody scratched in the dirt. Brer Rabbit just laughed, a high, sharp sound that scattered a flock of sparrows. Why, Brer Turtle, that sounds like sour grapes talk. If you think slow is so grand, why don't we settle this a race right now? From this creek bank straight to the big persimmon tree at the edge of Old Man Jones's field. Winner gets bragged rights forever. The challenge hung in the warm air. Brer Turtle looked at the distant persimmon tree, a dark smudge against the horizon, then back at Brer Rabbit, quivering with eager energy. A slow, knowing smile spread across Brer Turtle's ancient face. All right, Brer Rabbit, all right, we'll have us a race, but remember, the path ain't always smooth, and the world keeps turning whether you fly past it or not. Brer Rabbit barely listened, already hopping from foot to foot, stretching his legs, picturing the glorious moment of victory. He envisioned the stunned silence of the other critters, the sweet taste of proving his superiority once and for all. He paid no mind to the careful way Brer Turtle positioned himself at the starting line, head down, stubby legs planted firmly. Brer Fox, happening by, agreed to signal the start with a mighty thump of his tail. The meadow held its breath with a resounding thump from Brer Fox's tail against the packed earth. Brer Rabbit exploded forward. He was a brown blur, kicking up dust devils, leaving Brer Turtle seemingly frozen at the starting line. The wind roared in Brer Rabbit's long ears, the ground blurred beneath his pounding feet. He vaulted over rocks, skimmed across patches of clover, and darted through stands of tall grass without a second glance. Slow and steady wins the race? He scoffed internally, the thought whipping past him as fast as everything else. Not in this world. Speed is king. He didn't see the intricate pattern of dew on a spiderweb glistening in the sun. He didn't hear the newly hatched bluebirds chirping hungrily in their nest overhead. He didn't smell the delicate perfume of the wild roses blooming just off the path. His world narrowed to the rhythm of his own speed and the distant target of the persimmon tree. He was nearing the halfway point, lungs burning gloriously, the persimmon tree growing steadily larger, when a sharp, distressed cry pierced the air. It wasn't loud, but it was desperate. A small, frightened whimper. Brer Rabbit's instincts screamed at him to ignore it, to focus on the wind, but the sound tugged at something deeper than his pride. Skidding to a sudden, dusty halt, he whipped his head around. There, tangled hopelessly in a patch of thorny brambles, was young Possum. Tears streaked the little one's furry cheeks, and he flailed weakly, only becoming more ensnared with every panicked movement. Help! Possum squeaked, terror wide in his eyes. I'm stuck. It hurts. Brer Rabbit stood frozen for a heartbeat, the finish line beckoning, the image of Brer Turtle's slow crawl flashing in his mind. He could win. He should win. Victory was mere minutes away. But the sight of Possum's genuine fear, the sharp thorns digging into his soft fur, cut through Brer Rabbit's competitive fire with a sigh that felt like it came from his very soul. He turned his back on the race. Hold still now, little Possum, he said, his voice surprisingly gentle. Just hold still carefully, meticulously, with his clever paws surprisingly deft. Brer Rabbit began the painstaking work of untangling the thorns, snapping the toughest vines with his teeth, gently freeing the trembling youngster. It took precious minutes, each one feeling like an eternity against the ticking clock of the race. By the time Possum was free, shaken but unharmed beyond a few scratches, and Brer Rabbit had given him a reassuring pat, the moment for a swift victory was long gone. Brer Rabbit scooped Possum onto his back and loped, not sprinted, the rest of the way towards the persimmon tree. His heart hammered, not with the thrill of speed, but with a strange mixture of regret and a new, unfamiliar warmth. As he rounded the final bend, he saw it. Brer Turtle, moving with his ancient, unyielding determination, was crossing the finish line. A small crowd of animals, drawn by the commotion, murmured in surprise. Brer Turtle had won. Brer Rabbit slowed to a walk, setting Possum down gently. He had lost. The bragging rights were gone. Silence fell, thick and heavy. Brer Rabbit caught Brer Turtle's calm, knowing gaze. There was no gloating there, only a quiet understanding. Brer Turtle slowly nodded. Brer Rabbit looked down at Possum, who was nuzzling his leg gratefully. He looked at the faces of the other animals, not mocking, but waiting, curious. The frantic energy that usually fueled him had drained away, replaced by a profound stillness. He hadn't just lost a race, he'd lost his old, narrow definition of winning. He finally understood Brer Turtle's words. He saw the spiderweb he'd missed, heard the birdsong he'd ignored, smelled the roses. He felt Possum's trust. The finish line under the persimmon tree suddenly seemed a very small thing. A slow, genuine smile, softer and wiser than any grin of triumph, spread across Brer Rabbit's face. He hadn't crossed the line first, but somewhere along the dusty path, tangled in thorns and compassion, he had found something far more valuable than speed. He had finally arrived.